Hey y'all, Bethany here with ZR2 Girls, and today I'm going to show you how to install the OEM Sportsbar to your 23 or 24 Colorado or Canyon. This is my 24 Colorado ZR2, so let's go ahead and get that install started. All right, to get started, we're going to get everything laid out in the order in which it's going to go together. So we got the left rear tube and the right rear tube. Right here we have the tube connectors. We have the deco side plates, both sides. This is the light plate, and then you have your front tube right here. Down here, this is going to be used for the actual install onto the truck. So you've got your mid support brackets, your rear stake pocket brackets, all the fasteners and the hardware, as well as the front stake pocket brackets. So we are going to get to work on getting this assembled before we move over to the truck to get it installed on the truck. So I'm going to list the tools that you will need here on the screen. You are going to need the ratchet wrench, a torque wrench, a 13mm socket, a T40 Torx. You're also going to need a T30 Torx, safety glasses, utility knife, a drill, a 1/4-inch drill bit, and a 1-inch hole saw. Now for the actual just assembly of the Sportsbar, you're going to mainly be using that T30 Torx. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to want to do is to get this light plate just hand put on to the front bar. One thing I had done wrong, because the instructions were a little confusing, was I initially put it on, I think it was like this, because to me it fit nice and it looked right, but that's wrong. So this kind of curves down. You actually want it so that you've got it curved up, and so that the tab is facing the actual rear tubes. And then you have 4 holes right here that you're going to hand tighten down, and you are going to be using the M6 bolts.
Now let me see you lean and rock with it like a boss.
All right, so now we are going to connect the right and the left rear tubes using this tube connector. So the orientation for this is you want to have the 2 bolts, or the 2 holes on the top, and then the 2 that are on the back are going to be facing back towards the front tube plate. This is going to take a total of 16 of those M6 bolts, but you're going to leave these 2 open because this is what's actually going to connect to the plate on that front bar. So we'll go ahead and get that together. Okay, so now we're just gonna slide this in, and towards the end, you just gotta make sure it's lined up. Give it a little brute force and make sure that all of your holes line up. And I'll give you a closer view of that here in just a second. Take the other side. This is where it gets a little tricky. Like that. All right, so I'm going to give you a closer look here of where you're going to be putting the bolts in. The ones on the end here that have the little black lip, you're not going to put in. These ones you are. Coming around to where it actually connects in the middle here, these are the 2 you're going to leave open, but you do have 2 down here, and you have some on the back side as well. You've got these 2 here. Again, this one you are leaving open.
Now let me see you lean and rock like a boss. Now let me see you lean and rock with it like a boss. Now let me see you lean and rock like a boss.
Alright, so now we want to flip this over. Like I said, you do have some on the back side that you need to get to. All right, so on the back side here, we have 2, 4, 6, 8 more of the M6 bolts to put in. It's important that you are hand tightening all of these bolts. You do not want to use any power tools because over tightening can cause damage and breakage. And it is suggested that you do this to 7 foot-pounds.
Like a boss.
All right, as you can see, this one is not lined up, so when you go to put it in, it's at an angle. So we're gonna put a little back pressure on that to get that into a better position so that it actually goes down straight. so now that we have those 14 bolts tightened down to those 7 foot-pounds, we are gonna attach those 2 rear bars to your front bar and the light plate. So you're just gonna hold it up into place, and you're still using those M6 bolts. And you need 4 more of those. And just loosely get those in place, and then you can tighten them down once you get it all aligned. That was smart. I would have put those closer. And now that those are all in place, just go ahead and take your Torx bit and get those all tightened down. All right, so now it is time to do the side deco plates. I don't think I have to say this, but I'm gonna say it anyways. The ZR2 needs to be facing outward so you see it when it is on the truck. So that is going to take 7 of those M6 bolts. So we will get those loosely put in and get those all ready to go. Yeah, so that light plate that I had just tightened down, you actually don't want to tighten down until you get these on, because you will have to be able to adjust it a little bit to get all these to line up. Learn from my mistakes.
Now let me see you lean and rock like a
Okay, so once you get the 3 bolts down here and the 2 up top here, you're gonna get your mid support bracket and place that here before you actually put those bolts in place. So it's gonna look like that. And then you'll put the bolts through all of it. So when it's completely on, this is what it should look like. So you have the 2, the 1, 2, 3, and then you have the 2 back here that you used with that mid support bracket. And then you just repeat that on the other side. All right, so the next step is going to be putting these foam gaskets on. Now this is not stated in the GM instructions that you need to do this, but I did take this acetone and just wipe down the surfaces just so we have it stick a little bit better. So simply all you gotta do is remove the white backing on each one, and then line it up. And stick it down. Working my way down. And the last one. And then after you get this done, you're just going to repeat the same steps on the other side. Okay, so now that we have the Sportsbar all assembled, we are going to head to the truck and start getting that ready. So the first thing we have to do is cut out the front stake pockets. They are already, you can see exactly where you need to cut them, but you actually have to cut them out. We're just going to take our blade and we're going to run it along the side here. And you're probably going to have to go around a few times. Just take your time, making sure to get it scored pretty good here. That's good. All right, so once you get that all cut out, then you have to come down here and you have to get this plug out here. It just pops out. Then you're going to repeat that on the other side. This is when you're going to use your 1/4 inch drill bit and your 1 inch hole saw. All right, so now that we got that pocket cut out, we actually have to drill a hole. So you're going to use a 1/4 inch drill bit to do the pilot hole and then a 1 inch hole saw to finish the hole. Now I put the sports bar up here because there is already a hole underneath. There's actually 2 of them. But I wanted to make sure I was doing the right one just for placement. So if you look up here, you actually have this first hole right here, 1, and then moving back, you have the second hole 2. It's going to be this first hole that is closest to the cab of the truck. And again, I have this here just to kind of line it up. And it is right up underneath there. So you're gonna drill from the bottom up that 1/4 inch pilot hole, finish it off with the 1-inch hole saw. If you're not comfortable doing this part, which I'm gonna tell you I am not, find somebody who is. And the other tip I have for you is if you have somebody else doing it and you're the one that found the hole, just mark it with a paint marker up in there, just to make sure they drill the right hole. Okay, so now we're gonna assemble the bracket for the front stake packet. You are gonna need 2 of the J nuts, 1 of the smaller ones and 1 of the bigger ones. And then you also need your M8 hex bolts. So in order to put the J nuts into here, the small one's gonna go on the top, and you want the part that protrudes down to go on the downward part of this bracket. And you just simply push it in there. Okay, so you want this part facing down, the part that protrudes down, facing down into the bracket, and you just simply push it on. Looks easier than it looks this way. Okay, just like that. Then you're gonna take the larger one and you want the part that protrudes out, again, going towards this lip over here, and you're just gonna slide it in from the side like this. And now it's ready to go into the truck. Okay, in order to get the front stake pocket bracket into the front stake pocket, you're gonna need the assembled bracket, the large washer, and also the M8 hex bolt. Put that in first. And then you wanna make sure that you have the knobby part of the J nut facing away from the truck when you put it in there. I just put this bolt on here because it's easier to hold on to. Simply gonna put it down in there. And then you're gonna use your 13mm socket to tighten this down. Okay, now moving on to the rear stake pocket bracket. Again, you're gonna have to insert the J nut and you're gonna enter it going down and up, making sure that the part that protrudes out is going towards the lip that protrudes out. So you're just gonna push that on there. And this one is going to use the M8 hex bolt. Now that we're working our way to the back to get those stake pockets, you're going to need to remove these plugs as well. Both sides. Okay, so now we are going to attach the rear stake bracket to the sports bar, making sure that the flat side is facing inwards towards the truck. You're going to need your T40 Torx bit and your M8 Torx bolt. You also are going to need the spacer that comes with the kit. So we're gonna put this down here like this and put our spacer on before we put the bolt in. And then you're just simply going to tighten it down and then repeat that process on the other side. All right, so now it's time to get the sports bar on the truck. All right, so you're gonna start with attaching the front stake bracket using an M8 hex bolt. And you are just gonna do this loosely. Now you're gonna work your way down to the middle portion and you're going to use the nut as well as the M8 hex bolt. And you're gonna take from the bolt going down and then the nut's gonna go underneath. And then you're gonna do that on the other side. Okay. All right, now we're moving to the rear, and you're gonna need that large washer and another M8 hex bolt. This one you're gonna have to kind of finagle a little bit, make sure it's all lined up. And you're gonna use that T40 hex bit to get that tightened down. Then repeat that on the other side. And now you are so close to being done installing your sports bar. Remember, you need to go back and you need to tighten down all of the bolts up here to that 7 foot-pounds. Also tightening all the bolts along the side sail panels here. The front stake pocket and the rear stake pocket need to go down to 16 foot-pounds. And just check them all, make sure you have everything tightened down, and you're good to go.
Rock like a boss. Now let me see you lean it